So, let's give a little advice. Alright? The situation. Apparently, when your anniversary with his significant other, end up having to cancel plans because your friend who's known to have an issue with alcohol ends up going ahead and needing your help because him and his dad got into a big fight. Now your boyfriend is pissed off because you were willing to cancel the anniversary plans that you both were both apparently really excited about to go ahead and drop everything to be there for your friend. And the factor of your friend being the same gender as your boyfriend didn't help the situation, because obviously it would end up going ahead and stoking up an inferiority complex. Alright? So, you were so concerned about your boyfriend seeing things from your perspective that you weren't willing to take the time to see things also from his perspective. Alright? Now, ultimately, 1 year anniversary. Alright? So, one of the factors that makes that anniversary as exciting as it is when it ends up going about is because for people that have been in long-term relationships or people that get into relationships with the hopes that they will end up long-term, they understand that right there is pretty much the first initial step, towards a long-term relationship, because of the factor that with the amount of times that they've been disappointed by somebody who's claimed that they're all in on a relationship and that, they have the goals of actual commitment, they've been flaked out on quite a few times. All right. So they've gotten to see people with commitment issues that have claimed that they long for commitment, but couldn't actually provide commitment, but would string them along regardless. All right. So the 1 year anniversary point, one of the things that makes it so exciting for somebody who's had some trauma from previous relationships that they've been wronged in is the factor that by that 1 year point, there's been quite a bit of assessment of, would me and this person have the potential for a relationship that has lasting, capability and lasting power, and if it has that lasting power, how long will it last? Does it have the chance to be able to last for the long haul? Would this be possible to be a relationship that truly able to commit to each other for years, maybe decades, maybe a lifelong commitment? All right. So that factor right there. All right. End up going ahead and canceling your plans for a 1 year anniversary because your friend ended up going ahead getting in a fight with his dad, and apparently with your friend having issues with alcohol in the past, that made you more concerned than anything. All right. You have shown your boyfriend that your concern for your friend ends up going ahead and taking precedence over your relationship. Now, ultimately, considering the factor that your boyfriend has known about your friend, all right, I'm not guessing that, regardless of if there was any jealousy issues before, that your boyfriend had any issue with you having friends of the opposite sex. All right. But now here's the thing. You have shown him the factor that your friend's lack of impulse control absolutely can and will dictate the way that your relationship ends up going. All right? Your friend having a crisis and you being worried about your friend's sobriety when your friend should be worried about their sobriety. It shouldn't have to be somebody else from an outside perspective going ahead and trying to forcibly dictate, that because of, their want to get sober or be sober, that ultimately ends up being the deciding factor of if they remain sober or get sober. All right? It has shown the fact that your friend, not being able to maintain and mitigate their own emotions and, capable of being able to control their impulse control issues, that they absolutely will be able to use the situation to dictate the course of your relationship because of the factor that ultimately all I need to do is go ahead and have an inability to, deal with life on life's terms. And ultimately, they're able to go ahead and control your life, regardless of the factor that what gives them the controlling factor in your life and controls your relationship with your boyfriend ends up being the factor of your friend who can't even control their own impulses now being the one steering your relationship with your boyfriend. You understand what I mean? So that means ultimately your boyfriend is at the mercy of your friend and your friend's inability to be able to cope. So ultimately, if your boyfriend ends up going ahead and deciding, yeah, I don't see this being capable of being a lasting relationship because, I'm with somebody that's willing to go ahead and cancel our anniversary, just because of their friend's inability to be able to handle their own emotions. All right? So any perception that your boyfriend had of there being capability for a long-lasting relationship, with actual commitment, ultimately, that perception, if it has gone completely out the window, it's not unwarranted, because ultimately, it ends up saying that the longevity of your relationship with your boyfriend would really be, come down to the factor of if your friend is able to get their shit together. All right? And if your relationship with your boyfriend ends up coming down to if an outside party outside of your relationship is capable of getting their shit together and keeping their shit together, that's not a relationship that's actually worth investing into, because ultimately the only way for that relationship to be able to last would be to figure out a way to force that friend to get their shit together, or to get you to understand that, you need to go ahead and stop enabling your friend, and keeping your friend from being able to actually learn how to gain the emotional maturity to be able to work through the emotions that ultimately, with that emotional inability to, work through their own issues, ends up leading them to their dependency on alcohol. You understand what I mean?